talk right now about a Talk exclusive story involving thousands of European women living here in the UK, but are choosing, when they get pregnant, to return to their home countries to give birth. Well, that is their choice. I wonder if actually in a lot of countries the healthcare is rather better, you're rather safer. Might make a lot of sense. But an investigation by Talk has found that nearly 4,000 women of non-British nationalities but living here, they've got status, settled status to live in this country. They had their babies abroad in the past 5 years, and they've billed the NHS for the cost. That's the key bit here. More than £3.1 million of NHS money, supposedly from a fund to pay for Brits abroad. If you get caught abroad and you need health treatment, you've got your proof of your British identity, and then the EU hospitals will look after you, but then they'll bill the NHS, so our taxes ended up paying for it, which seems reasonable, and we do it for those countries' residents as well. But this is people who are residents women in Poland, well, they're from Poland, going back to Poland and then getting us to pay for their baby to be born in Poland. What on earth is that about? Let's talk about this with Jamie Jenkins. He's former head of health analysis at the Office for National Statistics. Very good morning to you, Jamie.
Good morning, Julie.
Thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of this? Because I'm intrigued by the reasons why women are choosing to go home in the first place. If their settled status here means they probably lived here for quite a long time, hopefully working here and paying tax here, we can but hope. Why are women returning home to have their babies?
Yeah, well, I think part of this might be just in terms of getting maybe dual nationality for the child, for example. So obviously, if they're Polish-born parents, they might want to go back to Poland,
right,
and have Polish on the kind of birth certificate and get the baby born there. But ultimately, Julia, I think you've highlighted perhaps a systematic flaw here, that if people choose to live in the UK, if they want to use healthcare abroad, and this S2 form that they have to fill in to do that, it does allow us to have treatment abroad, but we've got perfectly adequate maternity services in the UK. So if they want to go to Poland and have their children, well, let them pay for it in Poland themselves, not bill the UK taxpayer.
Well, that's the thing, because I looked at the numbers and it works out as £803 cost per woman. I'm wondering, would it be more expensive if they were treated here in the UK? That's what I was wondering. Are we saving money by them going home to do that? But the key thing here is actually, this system is set up for Brits to get necessary urgent healthcare abroad, which we then pay for, because you're our citizen, and it's just a reciprocal arrangement. It wasn't set up for people to just go pick and choose where they had their baby.
Well, no, and that's the part of the problem here, is that basically they're opting out of NHS services to have the treatment, but then charging back to the NHS for that treatment. And the fact that we're talking pregnant women here, Julia, this is not kind of some emergency thing that's happened, because you can't fly over a certain period when you actually are pregnant. So you must have made a pre-planned to do this in terms of getting the pregnancy.
And have somewhere to stay in the country where you supposedly don't live.
Indeed. And I'm probably not talking huge amounts of money, but it just goes to add to the fact that all these small amounts of money, when they all get added up, it starts adding up to a lot. And I do know as well, Julia, that we still have issues in the UK where women come to our country.
Well, I was just going to ask you about that. We've got a huge issue, and again, we're often told by the great, the good, oh no, it's on a tiny scale. But actually, most hospitals simply don't ask. I mean, you go to a hospital in London. Half of the people don't speak English as a first language. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I was in a hospital for some testing or something, and there was virtually no one else in the corridor I was waiting. There must have been about 30, 40 people who were speaking English, or English with an English accent, any lightly English accent or British accent. And so a lot of people, they don't ask for your passport at reception. They have no idea whether someone's from abroad or not. But we know that a lot of women coming from poorer countries. We know also Nigeria has been a big, women, especially having multiple births, come here and basically get free NHS treatment, having not paid a penny in.
No, and I know of people working in the NHS that says this system is being abused, where people are coming to this country, having children. Now, they're supposed to bill people when they do that, Julia, but I know, just looking at some recent reports, that this is into the hundreds of millions when you add up all of the different care, not just maternity services, that basically the NHS doesn't have all the details of everybody. They come in, they treat them, and then you don't claw that money back. And that is a systematic failure. For example, if you go to the US, Julia, you're probably not going to get your treatment unless you can prove that you can pay for it in the first place. And that is the difference between some countries in our country.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't think we should let anyone through passport control this country who hasn't got some sort of insurance, travel insurance that includes health insurance. I really don't. I wouldn't dream of going abroad without travel insurance. And if you can afford to travel to this country, you should be able to afford that. And if you can't afford it, and it's often in about sort of, worse, 80 quid a year or something like that for a single person, that's covering everything. I've got to be honest with you, if you haven't got that money, I'm not sure you're much use to this country. I'm not sure you're going to be a big spender.
Well, you can't even control the borders, Julia, with small boats coming over there. So are we going to get to a system where we're going to make sure everybody's got travel insurance? The country is in dire straits, Julia. And the story that say Talk are highlighting this morning, I think going back to that, just to finish off, I suppose, is that the NHS needs to look at everything in terms of waste. It's a small amount of money when you take the grand scheme of things, but you can't have this systematic problem where if women want to have their children abroad, choose to live in this country, use our services, but don't bill us back.
Well, indeed. And again, we all have that old phrase, count the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves. Count the millions and the billions will take care of themselves. Jamie Jenkins, always so good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Philip Ingram, your response?
I'm going to swear at you here.
Oh, please don't. I'll get in trouble.
No, it's not. It's not that.
My producer Ted's face just
exactly. I know. There's a solution to this. You're not going to like it. It's national identity cards.
Oh, phew! Thank God, it could have gone so. You're as bad as Tony Blair.
Well, I'm not a Tony Blair fan in any way, shape, or form.
No passport. If you're a foreigner, I'm sorry.
But if you had something that had your national health credits on it, so if you're a citizen here, you're allowed it. If you've come in as a refugee, you're not. If you come in in some other way.
We give people emergency health treatment. At the end of the day, women will just claim that's what they're doing with pregnancies when they come here. Well, it's an emergency.
But it gives you an accounting method, and that's the thing. And therefore, if someone's going for their post maternity care whenever they come back into this country, having given birth overseas, the midwife turns around and says, "Oh, where did you give birth? Oh, you gave birth overseas, did you? Why did you choose that? Oh, you did that. Okay, and records that against your national identity card number."
Yeah,
I
still don't want to be required to have an ID on me that is required and have papers, please, society. I don't want to live in Germany. In Germany, generally, you're not allowed to leave the home without ID on you.
We have to accept that these sorts of costs are going to be there.
Well, we don't have to accept. There are easy ways of checking.
How?
But really, again, can we all just stop pretending we can't tell? You can't tell who's from here and who's not. Come on, give me
exactly.
a break.
And there needs to be better checks. And this is where the country is wasting so much money by just not doing it.
Yeah, because again, I looked at this and I went, "Oh, that's not so much. Could be worse." You think no, but there are so many. There are a million examples of a few million quid being wasted. Yeah. They add up. It's why we're this, and it's that attitude in the public saying, "Oh, it's not very much.
It's not my money."
They'd care if it was their money, wouldn't they? Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on all the stories we're talking about today.